This is the Joan Jerkovich Show coming to you on News Radio 1150 KSAL, and I'm here as your life coach. And I'm going to open the show today by talking about those people who lose their virginity late in life, because that's my caller Jay coming up later in this hour. First, what I want to tell you are some statistics about this that come from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. What we find there is that the average age Americans lose their virginities, and that's defined as vaginal sexual intercourse, is the age of 17.1 years for both men and women. The CDC also reports that virgins make up about 12.3% of females, and get this, a higher number for the men, 14.3%. Now that is in that age group of 20 to 24 years of age. And that number does actually drop below 5% for both men and women virgins if they're in the age group of 25 to 29, and it even goes as low as 0.3% if they're aged 40 to 44. Now, those statistics are only representational of heterosexual sexual intercourse, but then that brings up the question, what is virginity? Virginity can mean different things to straight people and different things as well to people in the LGBT community. But I'm not here to debate the definition of virginity. I want to talk instead about what it means if you lose your virginity at a later age. Now, I have to interject in here that I'm getting some of this information from an article written by John Fortenberry on theatlantic.com titled On Late in Life Virginity Loss. And he's writing the fact that what do you denote as late in life virginity? Well, statistically, if you don't have sex during your teen years, you're already in the minority. But he said he did his own unscientific poll, and people that he polled said that they felt that virginity wasn't late if the person was still in their college age, much less their teen years. And many thought that if you were 25 years old, that was the first late age for losing your virginity. And the people also said that if you were even 40 years old or older, yet you were a religious person who only did preserve your virginity for religious reasons, that would be considered the age where it was late if it was over 40. So the question becomes to wait or not wait to lose your virginity. And maybe that's not even a question, but a circumstance. And many of us might assume that it's just the old stereotypical, he can't get laid, or they're super religious, but that's not really the case. Many other factors come into play for these people, and of course we somewhat touched on those Christian convictions, but other reasons are that they want to avoid sexually transmitted diseases or pregnancy, or some of them have some concerns over any kind of emotional component to a sexual relationship. They don't want to be left emotionally damaged if the relationship doesn't turn into, let's just say, even marriage. So what of those younger couples who wait until marriage to have a sexual relationship? They both come into the marriage as virgins. There was a couple that this author talked about who were 30 and 31-year-old virgins when they married. And this is what he said that they told him about their wedding night. They said that their wedding night wasn't quite spectacular, but they knew that they wanted to keep improving their sexual experience. They knew they wanted to keep learning and figure it out more, but it took lots of experimentation, they said, because neither of them had anything to compare it to. And I thought this next comment was really sweet of this couple, because when they said that it didn't really turn out like they had imagined, they understood and they knew it wasn't well, you mustn't love me. It was more like, oh, we can do it better or different next time. And they both felt that they were in a very satisfying sexual relationship. But let's talk about those people who are late in life to lose their virginity and how that has affected them, maybe not so well as our young couple we were talking about. Because according to a study published in the American Journal of Public Health, the respondents who said they lost their virginities late, meaning an age over age 22, more often reported sexual problems. Those included trouble reaching orgasm or maintaining an erection or even becoming sexually aroused. A Dr. Stephen Snyder, who's a sex therapist in New York City, works with these types of patients, and he found that most often the virgins or men who lost their virginity in their 20s or 30s most commonly suffered from an extreme shyness or a social anxiety disorder or even anxiety about their bodies. And think about it, this is risky business for men because they risk rejection. It's the man's role to be the initiator and ask someone else or indicate that they're interested in a sexual relationship, and they risk the rejection of a great big fat no. So it stands to reason that if a man is socially anxious, he's going to have a much more difficult time taking that risk. Other reasons for a delayed loss in virginity can be childhood physical or sexual abuse or even emotional abuse. And then there's the person who can just be one of those people who doesn't have any interest in sex. They call those people asexual. Now, parents, listen up. Here's how you can prepare your children for a happy, healthy sexual relationship in their lives. The happy home is the one where sexual curiosity is encouraged. Questions about sex are answered in age-appropriate ways. Privacy and independence are respected and encouraged. And parents, if the children are seeing you being openly affectionate with each other, it will set your children up and prepare them for a more normal, happy, functioning, and satisfying sexual relationship as adults. Now stay tuned as we're going to talk to one young gentleman who's very socially awkward and talking about that. And then we get to Jay, our 26-year-old virgin. We explore a number of the elements I just talked about here on his call. And that's up next on the Joan Jerkovich Show on News Radio 1150 KSAL.